Peace, everybody. How y'all been? Hope everyone is doing well out there. It's been a minute, uh, but I'm back, and we're gonna do a couple rounds of Q&A. Y'all sent me a lot of questions, so yeah, basically what I did, um, we all sent the questions. If they were just like quick answers, I just tried to respond to you on the Patreon. If it was like more of a yes or no or a simple uh, question or something that you know might not be you know I don't want to use the word important enough because every question is important, but it might not be topical. You know what I'm saying? So I tried to answer everyone. If they had like a simple question or something about merch or something like that, because maybe it's not um, optimal for a Q&A. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I'll go through uh, as much as I can in allotted periods of time as to not bore y'all. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll start off at the beginning. Yeah, I checked on the Q&A post, and here we go. So let's go. All right. How did you know? Realize, double down on the pursuit of becoming an artist. When was it a reality that it could become a sustainable career? As someone your age, it's been awesome to see your career flourish, but your work ethic is unrivaled. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just curious when a dream became an actual reality for you. I'll hang up and listen. I like that. Um, that's an amazing question, especially the way it was worded to make it interesting. Um, well, first and foremost, I didn't have aspirations of like any. I think you have these. I can't speak. I can only speak for myself here, right? My understanding what the average person is, they have these lofty dreams, and and those lofty dreams, they're taught that that's not going to happen. So you need plan B, possibly C and D. You're gonna go to college. You're gonna pursue this higher education so you can get this degree so that you can get this job, et cetera, et cetera. Which I understand that's normal. That's what um, is expected of you. So um, I wanted to box, but I realized that um, my my lifestyle wasn't conducive of someone that needs to you. Let's put you can die in the ring, right? The level of dedication there is was something that would have eventually cracked me. Um, my father dying played a big role in that because that's one of the few people who could have motivated me to do that. But I was always rhyming, like from my earliest memories. So to try to get a little bit more specific, like, okay, how did you know the pursuit of becoming an artist was a reality and a sustainable career? I never, there was no other plan that I wasn't saying is this sustainable because if not, I'm going to have to B, C, D. There was no B, C, or D. So it's kind of like asking someone, all right, well, you're holding a gun and someone's holding a gun on you. What do? You shoot first. That's really the only, you shoot first or you die. So the way that I processed that information, that data was there is no other way than to win at all costs. You know, outwork everybody. Um, because what happens there is you have to realize no matter what you're doing, there's people that are going to be better than me. You know what I'm saying? But that can't be controlled. That's not that's that's not something that's not a controlled environment. You can control outworking everybody, and that's what I did. That's what everyone with me who helped me get where I am right now did. We outworked everybody. So I guess like I realized it was sustainable when it became oh shit, I never I knew that I couldn't work a normal job. So it was like, yo, when it when money started coming in, I I wasn't I'm not sure how I responded to it other than just it was like joy mixed with sort of this, well, this is how it had to happen, or else who the fuck knows? I'd be dead, I suppose, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not built for that. I'm not built for like higher learning, for college. I'm not built for a 9 to 5, a cubicle, any of that. That's like a death sentence to me, you know? I would just check out. I wouldn't be able to do my life is exactly how it had to be. So as far as this all becoming a reality, I had to create the reality, you know. Okay, thank you for the question. Do you have a favorite album you've done out of any solo JMT, AOTP, Heavy Metal King stuff? The reason I left this in here because I've talked about this before, but I just want to I want to reiterate it as often as possible. Um, I don't listen to my own stuff. Um, it's uncomfortable for me. Um, you know, some people don't like their picture taken. Some people don't like to hear their own voice. You know, like recorded or something. They go, "Oh, yo, that's me." That all of those cyber feelings the average person has. That's how I feel about listening to my own stuff. So the only reason I'm answering it is because it's sort of a non-answer. You know, like, oh, I think this is the dopest, or this the blah blah blah. The process, the process is the part that I enjoy. Once it's done, that's on y'all to decide. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. It's like, all right, now I'm done here. This is for y'all. Um, Vinny, thank you for the question. Vinny, when are we getting the Divine Fire too? A lot of shit happened since 2009. Divine Fire was a documentary we did, and I don't know when you're getting it, but I agree with that sentiment. That as of right now, it's been 11 years. By the time it would come out, it will be at 12 or 13. I think there's tons of ground to cover there. Um, you know, my solo career hadn't even begun yet when that documentary ended. We have talked about it. It's quite the undertaking. You know, it's very time consuming to do a film because we would do it, and we would want to do it right. But I do want to do it. I do want to do it. So it's more of a matter of sort of compiling everything we had over these last 12 years or whatever it is, and say, is there enough here to tell a story? And if there's not, then we need to create that content, you know, to do it. I think that was Kahane. Thanks, man. Uh, as we get older, how has the realization of mortality played into your lyrical development? Um, I'm not sure. It's a very that's a plate that's a wormhole that if I go down, it's dark. You know, I start getting anxiety. I start thinking, not just it's like really my own my mortality is something that I think often about. But there's others. There's other people in my life. There's older people in my life that are incredibly important in my life, and I sort of become consumed with their mortality. more so than my own. Um, I'm not sure about its uh, did it has any effect on my lyrics. I'm not sure that it does or not. I've never, not consciously, you know. Um, like I've obviously like discussed mortality, like on Spilled Milk. I'm talking about my father dying and him dying young, and me sort of thinking that he was selfish for not making right choices to live longer. You know what I mean? But I'm not sure. The same person asks, any additional tracks with RA coming up? Yes. Uh, I'll get into it more soon. I promise. That's what this stuff is for, right? But I'll tell you more about the song and or songs soon. All right. What's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie? Uh, Reservoir Dogs. Who's your favorite stand-up comedian? Um, Bill Hicks or Eddie Murphy? For you young motherfuckers. Um, I think that everything about Bill Hicks is brilliant, and for Eddie, for me, it's like Delirious and Raw are like blew my fucking mind. What's the better game, NFL Blitz or NBA Jam? NBA Jam, man, all day. Stop the madness. Um, okay, thank you again for the question. You may have answered this before, but what are some of your favorite album covers? Even if you hated the album, I like that addendum there. Well, I'm trying to do these Q&As off top, so y'all can comment in the comments below whether you'd like me to answer and be more prepared, or answer off the top. You know what I'm saying? Because there's an interesting angle to both of them. You know what I mean? Off top, I'm forced to think and answer. If I prepare, I can think through 50, 60, 70, 80 years of music. You know, right now, off top, the first thing I think of when I think of album covers, me, like my era, is Glennie Friedman. Um, for those who don't know, I mean, he did the classic Public Enemy covers. He did Ryan Page for Ice T. He did stuff for Slayer. He did stuff for Black Flag. He did stuff for Minor Threat. Um, who else did he do? He did the Slick Rick cover. Um, the first Slick Rick record, Great Adventures of. So, like the Glennie Friedman covers were very impactful for me. But like I said, y'all could comment if you would rather me be more prepared or shoot more, like shoot from the hip. If I could probably think of like 10 covers that were just mind blowing that aren't Glennie Friedman, you know what I mean? But he just came to mind. So yeah, like I said, this is for y'all. So whichever you would prefer, me just answering like without really like studying these, you know what I'm saying? I just go boop boop boop, print them out, and let's go. That's how I'm doing it. Or I could prepare more, you know what I'm saying? Because I want y'all to feel like you're um, um, not getting the short end of the stick of the Q&A, of course. All right. It's a slightly, thanks for the question. It's a dope question. It's a slightly somber occasion, but your favorite DMX songs. Um, the first thing I think of when I think of X, me and my man Pablo were driving around in his Pathfinder when Pull It with Cameron came out. It's not even an X song; it's a Cameron song. But I love that song. I listened to it um, a bunch of times since when X got sick prior to him passing. That period of time, like a lot of y'all, I went into X mode. You know, um, b- both when I heard that he wasn't doing well and after he passed. I love Pull It so hard. Hey yo, um, Let Me Fly, Stop Being Greedy, The Professional. X had so many joints, man. But those are some of my go tos. Um, Okay. So yeah, thank you, man. Rest in peace, X. All right. This gentleman says, to me, the Jedi albums have always sounded like a cohesive listen. The interludes into the following tracks and the impeccable sample selections. How mindful during the recording process are you when working on albums' overall feel, sound? Or are you structuring the overall sound through track selection and then adding the supporting elements later? Or none of the above? Really good question. Um, Stoop and I are very cognizant of all of the things that you mentioned. Um, the interludes and sample selection, vocal sample selection and stuff is like painstakingly obsessed over by Stoop and I. Like when he makes beats that I pick to rhyme to, um, we both love them. And then okay, all right, I'll rhyme to this, and we got to come up with the hook and stuff. But the interludes, it's he loves doing those types of beats. So what happens is he makes a lot of them. Usually you'll hear 4 or 5, maybe 6 on the albums, but there might be 20 or 30 of them. You know, and that's when it starts getting painstakingly um, what's the word I should use here? It gets I don't want to say monotonous, and I don't want to say that it's like banging your head against the wall, but there might be 8 or 9 or 10 of those that we love, and we go, all right, we need to pick these 4 or 5 to weave this thing and make it sound cohesive. And it's similar to a director that shoots that's dealing with a 3-hour film, and they have to edit that to the hour and a half or 2 hours that you see in the theater. It's very similar. So yeah, that's a good question, but no, we're definitely cognizant of it. Um, and you use the word mindful. We're very mindful of it. It's an important. It's always has been and will continue to be an important part of our records. But we're mega mindful of how it is how it's laid out. It's important, but it can be time consuming. Okay, let's move on. All right. Have you ever? This is good. I remember this one. Now that I'm looking at it, this is good. Have you ever done a collaboration with someone and felt they didn't give it 100%? Not looking for any names. If so, how did you handle it? What is the bet? Oh, okay. So it's a 2-part question. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I think so. I think so. I think that I've thought that, but did the person think that is the question? Because if they gave 100% or they feel they gave 100%, what more can I ask out of them? Like, unless it was some complete bullshit. If that's what you're asking me, nah, I don't feel like nobody ever gave me some complete bullshit. But do I feel that that somebody or at some point in time is giving me less than 100%? Yeah, definitely. Um, it depends. I mean, there's obviously it depends on. I think it's. I'm looked at as a confrontational person, but I'm not. Um, so then that question becomes bigger, and the bigger question becomes like who, unless it's some bullshit. Again, which I said, nobody ever gave me no bullshit. Unless it's some bullshit, who am I to say, yo, is that your 100% or is that? So it is tricky when you feel like, yo, I don't feel like he went crazy on this. He didn't body this. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, I felt it a couple times, but it was never anything where, I felt like, yo, this is some bullshit and the fans aren't gonna tolerate this. Then I would have to be like, yo, my man, come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? You slept through this. You were sleepwalking through this. Not, you know what I mean? Then And the same gentleman asked, "What is the best and worst part of dealing with fans?" There isn't a bad part. It's like um, because people who know how to act like human beings and have a normal conversation are the greatest. And kind words and tell me I helped them get through a tough time or something or anything like that. That's all beautiful. You know what I mean? It's usually like overzealous people, but I don't think that really has to do with like fans. You guys probably just deal with it in regular life too. It's annoying people at work. It's people you got love for at work. It's annoying people in your family. It's people you love to death in your family. It's like it doesn't really change, you know? Um, like drunk dudes are mad annoying. I'm like, I'm weird about being touched. You know what I'm saying? And like alcohol hits the blood of some people and they're on some touchy feely shit and that can get ugly with me. You know what I mean? I don't like that. But again, that's not related to like me being an artist and them being a fan. I would just be like that anyway. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't think that uh, if I was forced to say like what do you do? There's definitely fans that like feel like yo, I bought your record, therefore like I can talk to you any way that I choose to. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy to me. And I see that like pretty often. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I'm a supporter, so I can talk crazy to you, and um, uh, and that's crazy. Favorite new school Philly rappers. Um, I love Leaf Ward. This kid named Leaf Ward from West Philly. I love OT the Real. Y'all know that if y'all know me. Um, D Boy Flow Ski. Um, yeah, I think like who's getting burned like that? Leaf Ward getting a lot of burn in my car. And OT the Real and D Boy are both on my new record. Um, that's when I can think about and come back to y'all. But you know, you said new school, so I'm thinking of like younger kids. You know what I'm saying? So I had to think about that. Um, all right, we'll do a couple more um, for this particular part. You know, part one of the Q&A, and then we'll get to more. And just keep doing them until they're done. You know what I'm saying? So you'll get. This gentleman asks, "Are you still contemplating becoming a vegan?" Well, I did the song "Making a Killing" on the Jedi record. I wrote that for Stoop. Um, Obviously, it's like the producer; he speaks through the music. But like the last couple of records, I always sit down with him and say like, "Yo, is there anything you would say if you could, like, if you were the MC?" You know what I mean? And he's a vegan, you know, and like animal rights activist. So I wrote that for him. I was vegetarian for 2 years when I was young, and my OG um, became vegetarian about 2 years ago, and so did his oldest son. Um, so when you say contemplating, man, I want to be. It's I find it difficult. Um, but is that something like I aspire to yeah, yeah. Um, it's tough, you know, but contemplating. Yeah, I'm thinking about it as we're filming right now actually. Um, okay. All right. Can you explain to someone who's new to your music and brand, not me, this person said, where did the name Jedi Mind Tricks come from and the meaning behind the kanji calligraphy symbol you use? Again, not me. You reminded me it's not him. Salute, man. Appreciate you. Um, the the name came into my head on a ride home from an ex's house at like 2 in the morning on a weeknight on 95. Um, Stoop had a job working an overnight shift, and I got off of 95 and drove to his job and said, we're gonna call it Jedi Mind Tricks. Um, we were using the name. A lot of people have heard the story that we leapt from. Our group was called Soulcraft. We put out like a couple of things underneath that, and then the leap was from Soulcraft to Jedi Mind Tricks. But there was like a year in between where we were called Infinite Connection, and I always wonder what would have happened if I didn't change that and we just kept infinite. We would say if it was Infinite Connection, and we were a little bit short, and it's an Infinite Connect. There's some demos like we're saying like Infinite Connect, blah blah blah. You know, so what? I don't know how many. At times, I feel like does the name sort of uh, hinder us or help us? Because when you think of Jedi Mind Tricks and what you connect it to, is that really does our sound correlate? And I'm not sure about that. You know what I mean? So I have a love-hate relationship with the name. Um, yeah, the symbol. I was reading the I Ching, and I was just like, yo, one of these things would, excuse me, one of these things would be dope. You know, one of these Asian symbols would be dope. So like as I was reading the book, I was like circling or highlighting whatever it was at the time, like 95, 96, like highlighting things. And then when we decided on it, it's sort of the symbol sort of means abundance or wealth, but in a spiritual sense. You know, not necessarily like material. You know, wealth meaning like rich, but like material, material things, but like an abundance of when in regards to spirituality or you know, you know what I'm getting at. Um, all right, we'll do one more, and then just for this episode, then we'll go on to the next one, of course. What are your thoughts on the influx of gimmick fights that seem to be happening more often in boxing from people like Jake and Logan Paul? Is this going to pose a larger problem for boxing as a sport, or do you think it's more of a passing fad? It's. I think that was from Powers. I think. What up, yo? How you doing? Thank you for the question. Um, it's difficult to say because this has happened before. A lot of you guys might be a little bit too young to remember, but the celebrity boxing shit like will pop up every now and again, and it'll be a shit show, and people will watch, and it'll make a little money, and then it goes away, it dies. The Tyson and Roy Jones thing, and that's just as much as of a shit show, and then it's very difficult for me. It's a shit show. Um, the way that it can be used properly is by putting real fighters, up and coming fighters, contenders, even young champions who might not be known yet on those cards. So if you're gonna do a 4 or 5 fight card with a shit show at the top of it, or even two, but get 2 or 3 guys on that card, I'm okay with that. Long run, yeah, I think it's a fad because these guys can't fight. You know what I'm saying? You have people, yo, whatever the little brother's name is, blah blah blah. Yo, Jake Paul has hands. Like, yo, watch the dude hitting the bag in the gym. Watch how he loops his shots. I mean, he hit Nate Robinson is 3'8". You know, it's like, stop it, man. Like, what are y'all? You know, I mean, whatever, man. You know, it's like there's him, either one of them, those brothers fighting a real dude, a real guy that can handle himself, that's capable, that is trained, that is lethal, getting flattened. I mean, yeah, I'm all in. You know, um, as far as these YouTube people fighting each other, and that's, you know, I don't really see the appeal in someone who can't fight. You know, I don't. It's just a horror movie. But if it's going to, I mean, The Tyson Roy Jones, the buys were through the roof. There was over 1 million buys. Now you're talking 60, 70, $80 a pop. So you're talking just from pay-per-view sales, you're talking 80 million plus. Of course it's going to happen again, you know? Is it a fad? It can't sustain itself. That's the thing with these things, with these fads. By definition, they can't sustain themselves. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing there. It's no different than one-hit wonder music or certain types of pop music. It can't sustain itself because there's no substance, and that's what I think will happen with what's going on there. You know, but all right. So that's the first round. Got a bunch more. Um, keep sending them in, and yeah, part two coming soon. Hope y'all are doing well. All right. All right. I'll talk to y'all. Peace.